it's not very easy to be healthy in this contaminated and acidic world, but as you will learn in our Lifeline health series, you will learn that it is absolutely possible to be always healthy and to really enjoy life no matter how old you are. And I want to show you a few things that you can do about the problem that our nutrients and our foods nowadays only have well, probably the most 50% of the nutrients that they used to have 50-60 years ago. And the foods are harvested unripe, and they're produced with a lot of pesticides and chemicals. And so I want just to give you a little idea what you can do about it. Now, you can do some sprouting. As you can see, I got a few little seeds here that are very, very good for your health. And let me just go through them a minute. We got here the quinoa. Quinoa is a grain from Peru, and it's a wonderful grain that will supply you with not only many nutrients, but also with a lot of carbohydrates. And then we have here another grain, which is millet, which you can very easily get here in the United States. You have another one here on this plate, which is the spelt. Now, spelt is a grain that is very similar to wheat, which we got right next to it. You can see spelt is just a little bit lighter in color and a little bit bigger the grain. It's really the ancestor of the wheat. The difference between the spelt and the wheat is that wheat is acidic and spelt is alkaline. So if you want to go on a diet to alkalize your body, if you want to get out of your state of acidosis or acidity, then you don't want to eat wheat bread, but you want to eat spelt bread. And so you can see the different kinds of sprout, the different kinds of grains here. Now, these two grains, the quinoa and the millet, they are also alkaline grains. So we got right here 3 of the 5 alkaline grains that we know. The other ones are amaranth and buckwheat. So these grains, you can cook them, you can prepare them like rice if you want to make alkaline foods, or you can sprout them, which would even be much better, because if you sprout seeds, then you will get the inhibitors out of them that are in there that avoid the sprouting, and while the seeds start to sprout, they will develop enzymes which will already start to digest the nutrients that we find in these any kind of seed, really, not only the grains. So these grains here, sprouted or just activated, will make a wonderful breakfast, especially for children, because if you want to feed children with a nourishing breakfast, you got to get a lot of carbohydrates in there, because they usually, especially if they are less than 7 years old, they still have a smaller stomach and they can't get so much food in there. So this would be a good way to give them some raw food and make turn these grains like into a smoothie. You can grind them up once they're sprouted. You can blend them in the blender with an apple and maybe a drop of apple juice and make a wonderful breakfast with it. And then let's go to the next group of things that we can seeds that we can sprout, and that's here we got the legumes. Now the legumes, the fastest sprouting ones that I know of are monk beans, which are not all that common, and also the lentils, which you can find everywhere. As you can see here in the bags, we buy these things in the health food store in the bulk section, and they are not very expensive, and you can usually find them there organic, which I definitely do recommend, even though we don't have no guarantee that they will be organic, but let's take the chance. And the difference in the price is not all that big. And then we have another group over here. Now, sorry, let me go back to the legumes here. The legumes are very high in protein, and so they are something that sprouted, we can eat them every day if we really want to, but it's better if we don't eat them too often, because usually our problem nowadays is the excess of protein and not the lack of protein. So these grains, we can sprout them very fast. In the most 2 days they will be ready to eat. Then we have these seeds here. Now we got an interesting one here, which is the fenugreek. It's not very known, but fenugreek, if you sprout it, it's also sprouted in 2 or 3 days, and it's a wonderful grain or sprout for people that suffer cancer, because it is a good remedy against cancer. And then we got here red clover. Now red clover is a seed that's not very known, because most people use nowadays what's it called, alfalfa. Most people use alfalfa. I don't like alfalfa at all, because 90% of alfalfa is genetically engineered, so I don't use it at all. But the red clover is fantastic, and in the spirit of prophecy, we've been told that red clover should not be missing in any home. And if we sprout it, then it is really a wonderful blood cleanser. And I would say probably 99.9999% of all people have pretty bad blood if you look at it. And so this would be of a big advantage. Now to sprout this here takes a little bit longer. It takes you about 7 days to get it ready. And then we have another grain here, or this, that's a seed, I should say, which is the sunflower seed. Now you can see it looks pretty dirty, and it's still in the hull. But we don't want to sprout this and you eat the whole grain sprouted as we do with all the rest of them. These here, we're going to use it to produce sunflower lettuce, or little sunflower plants. They should be about 10 inches or so high before you harvest them. And you'll be surprised on on a very small area you can produce a tremendous amount of sunflower lettuce. You could also produce buckwheat lettuce or green pea lettuce if you use the whole green peas. So we are going to do our experiment in this time with the sunflower seeds, but if you use buckwheat or green peas, it would be always the same process. Buckwheat is not that good as the green peas and the sunflower, because buckwheat has some substances that are not the best for us. But anyway, let's go over now, and let's start with preparing for sunflower lettuce, because this is a very interesting thing for you. And we will be growing it. It will probably take us about 10 days before they will be ready for harvest. And now all we do is we take a jar. If we have a glass jar, you can get them pretty inexpensive, and for a couple of bucks you can buy them at Walmart. And so we put our seeds in there. Now we want to plant 2 trays of these size here. These are the trays that we're going to plant. These are some old restaurant trays that I found in a restaurant that was out of service. And so for 2 of these trays here, we got these 2 trays. Just to give you an idea, we want to sprout probably about around 5 cups of seeds. So we got 1 quart here, and I'm going to put these seeds in there. I have some more here, so just to make sure. Now these sunflower seeds, it's very important that we get the right variety, because they sell quite a few different varieties out there. Uh-oh, that went on the table, not in the jar. These ones here are called black oil sunflower seeds. Black oil sunflower seeds. And they will sprout fantastically, and they will also produce a wonderful lettuce, a little plant. I'm going to put all this in here. Alright, so you can see I got these whole quart, these whole measure full with seeds, so I guess it's probably around 5 or maybe a little bit more than 5 cups of sunflower seeds. Now these seeds, I bought them in the supermarket, and they sell them in like 25 bags, and they're pretty inexpensive. I guess they probably sell them there as bird food. But make sure you get the black oil sunflower seeds. Now we put them in the jar, and then we just want to fill this jar up with some water. This is just regular tap water that I got here. See, you can see they right now they are on swimming on top, because they are lighter than the water, but little by little they will start to settle down. Now we're going to leave these seeds in here for about 8 to 10 hours, something like that. So tomorrow morning we are going to take these seeds out, drain the water out. I also would like to start some seeds for these wheatgrass trays here. Now these are wheatgrass trays. We've already used this one before. Here's a new one. So when you have these wheatgrass trays this size, you can get them in many different places, in where they sell agricultural seeds and things like that. And then you get just some hard red winter wheat. Hard red winter wheat. And I also want to sprout about 5 cupful of wheat. So I'm going to fill up this jar again, and that will give me enough seeds for, alright, so it's about full. And now this is the wheat, red hard winter wheat, makes the best wheatgrass. So we're going to put that in this other jar here. You can see I don't even wash them out or whatever. The advantage is we're out here on the campgrounds, because we are constantly traveling, so I can just throw the leftover here on the ground. And that I got some seeds in here from my sunflowers. We're going to take that out. Okay, so and we do the same thing here. We're going to fill up this here up with water. Now this here is also tap water. So we're going to put plenty of water in there. You always want to make sure. I got something's black swimming in there, all right. You also always want to make sure that you get plenty of water into your seeds, that they're well covered, because these seeds will start to swell, and we don't want them to come out of the water, because we really want them to get soaked nicely. And all seeds, practically no matter what you're going to do, whether you're going to plant them for wheatgrass or for sunflower lettuce, or whether you want to sprout them for your shake or whatever, put your seeds always for 8 hours in water. So if you start the process in the morning, you dump the water in the evening. If you start the process in the evening, you dump the water in the morning, or the other way around. Good. So it's a very, very easy thing to do. There's one thing I would like to say. If you sprout any grain, try not to use plastic, because plastic does leach out. It will leach out between 12 and 16 different chemicals, and that's not all that good. But you can use the jars like the ones we got here. This one here we got from a restaurant where they gave them away. They get mayonnaise in there, or what do I know? And then this here is from Walmart. You also can use these kind of sprout jars. You can see this one here is already full. This is sprouted red clover, because my wife and we eat at least a jar like this every day, sprouted in red clover, because it really gives us a lot of energy. Now this jar here has the advantage that it comes with stainless steel mesh on top of it, and so it's very easy to drain the seeds, as we will show you in our next little section. Alright, let's do a little bit of sprouting too, for eating sprouts. And what I want to do now is I want to sprout some red clover, and I got 1/3 of a cup here, and so I'm taking 1/3 of a cup of seed, and I'm going to put this into a container, into a jar that holds about a gallon. For one gallon jar, I need 1/3 of a cup of red clover seed. And after 7 days, now look how little seed you got in there. I mean, it's really little seed. After 7 days, this jar will be completely filled, and they will be so tight in there it'll be even difficult to get them out. So this 1/3 of a cup will produce us a tremendous amount of sprouts later on. Like in this jar here, we only got 3 tablespoonfuls of seeds in there, and this is probably 5 days old by now. So we don't have to spend a lot of money on these jars here, because these jars, these sprouting jars as they sell them, they usually cost between $8 and $10. But we are rich poor people, so we like to do it a little bit more inexpensive. These jars, we get them for free, and then we just use these screen here that you use for window screening. And so we put that on top here, and then you just put a rubber band around it, and then we put some water in here. Now these seeds, they will not sprout, I mean they will not swell very much. Alright, so we just need a little bit of water in there, and that's plenty of water already. And now we'll let it sit until tomorrow, and then we'll dump the water. I would also like to sprout some spelt, to make a spelt smoothie tomorrow. And sometimes people tell me, oh, but I don't have the jars, I can't buy them, and I can't find them, or whatever. So you can really use anything to sprout in. I mean, it's not difficult. And we're going to use this little bowl here to sprout 1 cup full of spelt. Let me see whether we can get still a cup out of this here. Almost. So we'll put a little bit more here from our plate. All right, there we got the cup full of spelt. We put it in these little bowl here, and we just pour some water on it, and that's plenty water already. Now, many people will tell you that you should rinse them, and of course you can do that if you like to. But you can see these sprouts, these grains are pretty clear. I mean, this water is not dirty at all. So I'm not going to rinse it. I'm just going to leave it in there, because I don't like to do things that I don't have to. because we got plenty of stuff to do anyway. And I guess you have the same problem, that we have more to do than what we can. So let's not do anything that's unnecessary. And I think this will be our demonstration, and we will see tomorrow how these different things coming out here. We'll be looking at our 4 seeds that we started to sprout today. Okay, it's in the morning now. Yesterday in the late afternoon we put all our sprouts here in water, or all our seeds I should say, in water, and now we want to dump the water out of it, because they have been soaking for slightly over 8 hours now. And usually you would probably dump the water in your sink. I'm going to pour it right out here, and see, that's the advantage when you have a green floor in your kitchen. And then once you got the water out, you want to put the glass in this position here. Look, it should be a little bit on one side, because if you put it straight down like this, the entrance, the mouth, it is completely closed now, and the last water would not be running out. There would a little water stay in the glass, and we don't want that. So we put it a little bit in a tilt, and then the water will drain out. These are our monk beans, and here we got our red clover seeds, I believe this is, yes. So we're also going to pour out the water, and then we are also going to put these, we will let it drain out nicely. You can see these red clover sprouts, they are very small, so it is a little bit more difficult for them to release all that water. And now it stopped running, so I'm also going to put it in an angle into this little bowl here. You would be putting it into your sink, and then let it sit there for maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes, and just make sure that all the water runs out of it. Because if you turn these glasses around, see this here, you can see it's still leaking. If you turn this around and you have not drained perfectly all the water, then you would have a little bit of water on the bottom of this glass, and the seeds on the bottom would be sitting in the water, and they would drown there, because seeds don't only need water, they also need air. And so make sure that you drain the water out really, really well. I'm going to let these glasses sit here now. The other ones we have already drained the water out, and so we're going to let these sit now until this evening, and then we will rinse the sprouts again. And that's what we have to do every morning and every evening now. Rinse our sprouts until they are ready to be used. It's the second day of our sprouting. Yesterday evening we put all our seeds into the water. This morning we drained the water out from the seeds, and we had to treat our red clover in a little bit different way, because these little vegetable sprouts, or red clover, or what's the other one? Or alfalfa sprouts, these little sprouts, you need to treat them a little bit different than the big ones. We need to keep these sprouts for the next 5 days in a dark space, like for example in this cabinet here in our motor home. So we're going to take them outside now, because it's time to rinse them again, and then we will put them back into the dark, into that dark closet here, or cabinet. So we're going to take our sprouts, our red clover sprouts, outside, They've been all day in the closet inside because they need to be in that dark space. And now we're going to put some water in it because we want to rinse them. You can maybe use a little bit more water at home, but here we have to be a little bit more economical. Alright, so we just rinse these seeds, that's all we do, and then we immediately dump the water. See, we just dump it again, and then we put it back into our little bowl, or you can put it at home into your sink, and then we'll just make sure that it will drain out really nicely. We're going to rinse also our monk beans. See, they have been in water all last night, and then they have been standing all this day without water, and now we rinse them again and we drop the water, and then we put it into our bowl to make sure that it will drain well, so there will be no water on the bottom when we do it. And then we're going to do all the rest of these sprouts here too. Here we got some more monk bean. Now these monk beans are really amazing. Are these the monk beans that we started yesterday? Yes, they are. See, we didn't have enough containers, so we just used this little pitchel here, and you can put a screen over it, and then we can also rinse it nicely. Now the monk beans, they sprout really, really fast, and we are going to have a look at them now, right? I just need to make sure that they drain well, so there will be no water on the bottom of these container. And now if you want to look at this, don't we have a little plate here or something? Well, maybe we can put them here in these thing here, then you will be able to see them nicely. Look, they already have a sprout of almost an inch high. Some of them have just short ones, but these monk beans, we just soaked them last night, so we could already eat them now. Because as soon as they have a sprout just 1/4 of an inch long, we can use them. And when the sprout is a little bit short, they have a lot of energy. They have more energy when the sprouts are short like this, and when they get very long. But we can still sprout them for a little while, to maybe another day or two, so that we get more of these sprouts, more growth. So I'm going to put this back in here. Now the interesting thing is, if we will probably have part of this for our breakfast tomorrow. And you know, the interesting thing is, it's like a magic pot, because tomorrow we'll be taking out, tomorrow morning, some of these sprouts, and we'll have them for breakfast, and then in the evening we'll have exactly the same amount again, because the sprouts that are left over, they will grow so much tomorrow that whatever we take out in the morning for breakfast, in the evening it has grown back. And so it's really a wonderful thing. Now we also want to rinse our sunflower seeds. I need a little bit more water here. We'll take this gallon. These are our sunflower seeds, the black oil sunflower seeds, and we also just rinse them. And then these ones are very big, so I can just pour them into this container here, and they will dry there. They will rinse there, or drain there pretty well. Right? So now I can put them back in there. They have not started to sprout yet. Let's see, can we see any sprouts? I don't think so, huh? No, we can't see any sprouts yet. Or can you see some little sprouts in there? Clemencia is telling me there are some sprouts already. Alright, okay, so there are some of them have sprout. Yeah, see, there's a little sprout in it already. So this one is sprouted, and I believe is there another one. Anyway, so you can see that the sprouting is pretty fast if you soak the things in water. I'm going to put them back into this container here, or I'm rather going to ask my wife to ask her to please put these seeds back into the container. And in the meantime, I'm going to rinse here the wheat that we got for our wheatgrass that we want to plant. Now you can see also wheatgrass, we just got it in a bowl because that's all that we had available right now. So I just want to make sure that we rinse it well. And you know, when I put the hand in there, it feels warm because they really produce a lot of energy, these sprouts. Alright, so I'm going to hopefully this will drain well here. Alright, there goes the water. I don't want to lose any of the seeds. Alright, so this here now is the wheat, and you can also see how nicely this wheat is sprouted already. Look how big these sprouts are already. I think you can see it nicely how they are, how everything is sprouted in here already. Very nicely. So we'll wait maybe another day or the most 2 days, and then we will be planting it into our trays. So we rinsed all this here. We just need to rinse our quinoa. Can you see? Oh no, this is fenugreek. Is this sprouted already, Clemencia? Oh yes, this fenugreek is also sprouted already. So we can use fenugreek tomorrow morning already. Wonderful. So we have fenugreek for tomorrow, and we have mung beans for tomorrow. And will we have any these here? Yes, these are sprouted too. See? The lentils are sprouted also, not as long as the mung beans, but so the day after tomorrow for sure we'll have lentils. And these here are the red clover seeds again. And now I'm going to put them back into the dark closet, because if it's not dark, then they will not grow very much. They will just sprout a little bit and then they will get green. But if we keep them in the dark, then these little plants, they will try to look for light, and they will just keep growing and growing so that they will find the light. And that's what will fill this whole jar. Remember, we only put 1/3 of a cup of seed in here yesterday, and look, we already got at least between half a cup and 1 cup of volume in here already. So they're also starting to grow already. Good, let's wait until tomorrow, and then we'll give it another rinse and see how our harvest is going here. Alright, our wheat and our sunflower sprouts are ready to be planted. You can see they are nicely sprouted. We have only put them in water 2.5 days ago, so they are just 2.5 days old. You can see they're a little bit stuck together here already with the roots, so maybe we should have planted them a little bit earlier, but it's still okay. We can still plant them, they will still do nicely. We just have to separate them a little bit. And also our sunflower seeds, they are very, very nicely sprouted. You can see that. Now, the first thing we need to do is we need to prepare our planting trays. And here I found some old restaurant trays, and we got some holes in there. I drilled them in there just with a regular drill bit so that the water would run out when we watered them. And I put about 1 inch, half an inch to 1 inch of garden soil on this tray. That is absolutely enough. We don't need to have a lot of soil on there. The same thing also with the trays for the wheatgrass. We don't need much soil in there, and it doesn't have to be very nutritious soil or whatsoever, because the only reason why we put soil in here is that we want the we wanted to hold the moisture so that the seeds won't dry out too fast. The seeds will really not get any nutrients out of this soil, because we're going to harvest them in just about 10 days the most. So you can, if you don't have garden soil in your home, you can buy some potting soil, or you could get even some pit moss, which is very inexpensive. Pit moss doesn't have any nutrients in it, but it's very good to hold the moisture. So you can do any kind or any of these soils. You can use them. And so let's go ahead and first plant out our black oil sunflower seeds, and you can see we want to put them real thick in there, because we want these little plants to really cover the whole tree. All right, we don't need much space between the seeds and the plants, and so we just spread it out like this. See, we nicely cover the whole area with sunflowers, and then we'll get a good harvest out of this. All right, so we I put it a little bit too thin over here. I got a handful left over, so we're going to put this in here. Also, it's difficult to get it too much covered, because it does pretty good when it's very packed with seeds. So that's what it should look like. Now what we need to do is we need to cover these here up. I'm going to press it down just a little bit, and then we need to water it a little bit. So we will get a little bit of water, and we will water it a little bit. I don't have a garden hose here or anything, so we're just going to sprinkle some water over it. Alright, so here we got our bowl full of water, and we're just going to sprinkle some water over it. I don't need too much water, because it just rained before I got the soil from the garden, and so the soil itself is already pretty wet, and so I just need to add a little bit more water to it. All right, it's I can hardly overwater it, because remember we got these holes in the bottom, on the bottom of these tray. So if there is too much water, then it will just run out. And we want to make sure that it's well watered, and also water well the corners and the edges, so that you won't have dry patches later on, because then the sunflower is not going to grow very nicely. All right, I think that's enough. And now what we need to do is we need to cover this up, because these seeds need to grow in the dark. So I'm going to put another tray on top, and this will keep it in the dark, and then I just can keep it like this for maybe 2 to 3 days, and then the seeds will have rooted into the soil, and they will be growing nicely, and then we can take the cover off, and then the seeds will grow freely. Now we're going to do the same thing here with our wheatgrass plantings. I filled 4 boxes with soil, but we are only going to plant 2 of these trays here. The other ones are to put some weight on this wheat here, and so we're going to start putting it out like this. You can see also this here, we want to really cover it well so that we have one little plant next to the other. It's a little bit difficult to get out because it has already rooted quite a bit, and so they're holding on to each other here. All right, so we will, and remember these were like a little bit more than 4 cups of seeds per for the 2 trays. So this here was a little bit more than 2 cups of seeds. Look how this is already grown together. Look, the roots here. So I should have ideally planted it out yesterday, but we didn't get to it, so now we need to separate the kernels and the roots a little bit. Of course, we're going to damage it a little bit, I guess, but it's all right. You'll see it will plant. It will grow nicely. We just need to make sure that we cover it well, so that we get one little plant right next to the other, so we won't have holes in there later on. All right, we got another piece here. Okay. It looks like it's a lot, but that's because it is grown a little bit more. If I would have planted it out yesterday, it would not have looked like it's too much, because there would have been less volume. Let me finish these here too, but we're just going to distribute all these seeds all over these trays. We'll just make sure that we get about the same amount in everywhere, that it's not we don't have too much in one place and too little in another one. All right, okay, so this tray is okay. So we're going to put the rest in the other one here. We don't want to get it all in there, because every kernel is a little plant. Alright, so now I'm also going to press it down a little bit with my hand, and this one here too. Now I want to give you a little hint here. Little idea. Sometimes you may live in an area where you don't have garden soil like we got here right behind this bus here. You can see where I picked up the soil there. So you might not have this. You might have just woods around, or some place that has now been cultivated, where there are a lot of seeds from weeds. And so if you take that soil, you might have a problem that now all these seeds that are from the weeds that are in this soil, they might come and sprout up, and then they might contaminate whatever it is, your sunflower seeds or your wheatgrass. So if you want to use that kind of soil, then use an old pot from your kitchen, put a little bit of, or quite a bit of water on the bottom, and then put the dirt in there and cover it up with a lid and put it to boil, because then you will produce all the steam and you will practically sterilize the soil. and that will kill all the seeds, and even if there are bugs or whatever in there, it will prepare the soil nice, and then you can cool it down, and then you spread it out, and you can plant on it there. So don't plant on wild soil without preparing it, because you'll get a lot of trouble with weeds, and you won't be able to weed this out. Now you can see we got this planted here, and now I'm going to put on each one of these trays with some dirt in it on top, because we want to keep this like this here for about 2, maybe 3 days. And then after 3 days, 2 or 3 days, depending on the temperature, you will see then that these little plants, they will be very hard. They will be like a brush because of these trays on top, because they'll try to push them up so they get really thick and strong. And then after these 2, 3, or sometimes it may take 4 days, if you then take off the trays, then they will start to grow. I forgot to water these wheat grass seeds here, so we're just going to put, just like on the sunflower, we're going to put some water on there, sprinkle some water on it. You might have a better system at home, but that's all we got here right now. So we water it nicely, and if you water it well, and if the temperature is not too hot and the weather is not too dry, then you might not have to water it again for another maybe 2 or 3 days. So you will have to check that out then later on. And what you can do, if you want to know whether it is dry or not, you can kind of stick your finger there in on the side there. Just stick your finger in there, and then you can feel it whether it's dry or not. Alright, so we got one watered, we need to water the other one too. And then we are all set, and then we will just check all these here again in about 2 days. So we won't have to do anything to it. Just make sure that you check it for moisture, so that these little plants won't dry out. Alright, that's all we're going to do for today. And we're going to have a little prayer over these plants here, so that God will make them grow nicely. Heavenly Father, we thank you, Lord, for giving us the opportunity to plant these little seeds here, and we ask you that you may make them grow, and then they will produce very valuable nutrients for our bodies. We ask this in Jesus' name. Amen. We are ready to make the next step in our production of wheatgrass and sunflower lettuce. We started the whole procedure on Tuesday last week, Tuesday evening, and now it is Monday morning in the following week. And we soaked on Tuesday evening, we soaked the seeds in water. On Wednesday morning we drained them, and we kept them until watered or rinsed until Thursday in the afternoon, and that's when we planted all these seeds into the different trays. And so that was, now it is Friday, Saturday and Sunday. 3 days have passed, and we are ready to uncover our seeds here, our plantings. And you can see how in 3 days these wheatgrass has grown quite a bit already. So it is already pretty high here, and it has been trying to lift up these boxes that we had. If I put my hand on it, it feels like I got a brush underneath it. So This has been growing very nicely. We're going to set it out into the open air now, so that it will be able to get a little bit green. And then here we have our sunflower seeds. Now they have been pushing up the whole, all these 4 boxes and everything, they have been pushing it up. It is very, very strong, these plants here now. So they are really very nice. You can see, I can put my finger in there. So this is the height they have already, these little plants. So they will be shooting up in another 4 to 5 days. The most, I believe, they will be ready to be harvested. And I'm also going to set them out here so that they can get some light there and grow nicely. All we have done in these last 3 days, we planted them out on Thursday evening, and we did not water them on Friday and Saturday, but on Sunday morning we did water them a little bit to keep them moist, and they are still very nice and moist. We need to be careful that we do not overwater these plantings, because then they will very likely develop mold, and that would contaminate our plantings and not make it very healthy. So let's wait and see another 4 days, and we should probably be able to at least harvest the sunflower seeds, and maybe pretty soon also another 5 or 6 days we should be able to get a harvest from our wheatgrass. So you can see it is it does not take very much time. Right now these seeds, since we put them in the water to soak, they have been Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday and Sunday. So they are, by now they are 5 days old, since 5 days and 1 night. So it's you can see it's a short process, and like I say, I believe in another 5 days they should all be ready for harvest. Well, here we are now with our last report on the wheatgrass and sunflower lettuce. These today is Wednesday. It's Wednesday of the 2nd week. Remember that we started these here last week Tuesday evening. So this is exactly 1 week old now, these plantings here. And you can see the sunflower lettuce is coming very nicely. I can press with the hand on it, and it's very strong because we had a good weight on it. We had all these boxes on top of it before. And so let's take a measure. How deep are these sprouts right now? All right, so we can see here we are close to 3 inches of height with these sunflower lettuce, and they should grow maybe somewhere around 9 inches, maybe this high here. And so in another 3 days the most, they will be ready that we can harvest them, because they will grow about a couple of inches a day the way they are going. We just need to keep them well watered. And the temperature is very nice. We have like temperatures about around 70 degrees here now. So that's a wonderful growing temperature. And also here we have our wheatgrass. You can see it's getting nice and even. Now there are still some spears coming out and coming up, so it will fill up a little bit more still, and it will even out too. Right now we got a height here of about, let's see, we got about here 2.5 inches is the height of this wheatgrass right now. And it's also another 3 days, 3 to 4 days, and all these plantings will be done. We can start making wheatgrass then. We'll be cutting it here on the bottom, and also the sunflower lettuce here. Now, one tray like this here is a lot of production. It will really give probably fill probably 2-gallon bags of with these little plants. And so this is enough salad at least for 2 people and probably for a whole week. So if you got 2 of these trays going constantly, you'll probably have almost enough greens to live on without having to buy any greens. And then these wheatgrass trays, they will usually yield between 8 and 10 ounces of wheatgrass. So 2 trays, if you have about 1 ounce a day, then 1 tray will do for a person during about a week. Because if you get an ounce of wheatgrass juice together with then these sunflower lettuce, you'll have a pretty good nutrition then. That you can make that the base of your nutritional supplements or whatever you want to call it. So it'll be a wonderful way to live on. So if you are 2 people, then have 2 of these trays, or if not, have what, about 2 of these black trays would probably make about 1 of these big ones. So 2 trays of sunflower seeds and 2 trays of wheatgrass will do for about 2 people per week. So that's all you need. So you can easily calculate how much you need to be doing. And look, the area that we got here, I mean, this is really a very little area, because this is just like one of these little what is it, probably 3 by 3 feet 3 by 3 feet a little picnic table. That's all it is. So and this here doesn't even cover the area. So it's really very easy. You can really do that anywhere you want to. And I hope you will soon start with it, and that you may be really successful and alkalize yourself, because we need to do that in this acidic environment that we live in nowadays. Thank you, and God bless you.